am Reverend Loretta Brooks, and we warmly welcome you here on this beautiful day today. Yes, it is a beautiful day, right?
Yes, it is.
And I'm glad that all of you are here today. We continue with our theme of inspiration. We're doing that throughout the month. We're going to have our spiritual mind treatment, and then we will have our reading. And we are also being filmed today. There's a sign outside that says we're being filmed, so just so you didn't know, I'm letting you know that. So, it's all good. Okay, so please help me warmly welcome Barbara Munlin, our wonderful licensed practitioner. She's going to do our treatment.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thank you. Okay, so we can just relax, close our eyes if you like to, take a deep breath, cleansing breath, healing breath, knowing that there is one mind, one power, one presence, action and activity in the universe, God right where we are, functioning, operating, expressing in, through, and around, and as our very thoughts, impulse, instinct, ideas, belief. We are one with God, one with this great all-knowing principle of love and right action. We are in it and of it. We are divine beings in this human experience, knowing the truth about ourselves and the truth for ourselves. In the area of love, we are love in action. We are God's idea of love, expressing love in every area and every aspect, giving and receiving. But we are open and receptive to this blissfulness that we call love. In the area of health, we are health. We are that shining, radiant health of spirit. Every gland, muscle, tissue, function, action, reaction of our body is the omnipotent, omnipresent action of the living spirit within us. In the area of creativity and self-expression, we are creative because that is our nature to create. As the mother-father principle is creative, so are we. And so we create constructive action in our lives for ourselves, friends, and loved ones. We are expressing God as love, as joy, harmony, divine order, and right action. In the area of wealth, we are blessed with abundant goodness, divine substance. Every need is fulfilled at the instant and the moment of the need. We lack for nothing. We are one with Spirit. Being one with Spirit, we appreciate, we understand, we accept that we are heirs to the kingdom. All that is good and true is what we are experiencing, expressing right here and now, wonderfully, blissfully. We are inspired by this action, motivated into right action, healed, blessed, and benefit in wonderful and magnificent ways. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Barbara. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much. And now we're going to have our reading, and our reading is going to be done by Emily Howard, one of our licensed practitioners. Please help me welcome her. So having said all of that, it is now time for all of us to wish each other a happy Sunday. So let's wish each other a happy Sunday. So please help me welcome Myra and Julia.
We're going to have a part for you to sing with us so that we can kind of all get in tune together.
And it's just an ooze, so if you haven't had your coffee yet, it's so you need to catch on.
Ooh.
If I could reach across the great divide, our tears would become nourishment and heal us from inside. And the darkness would fade. If I could hasten the day. Alright, here we go again.
Beginning of the lesson that when you come in you may feel a certain way and when you leave you will always feel better. I try to say that in the beginning of each one, and I think it's important to think about that because that's really what we want to do with consciousness. We want to allow ourselves to move into a different space. So today I am speaking to you about Lord, make me an instrument of, and I left that blank purposely because that is really the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, who really spoke about, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace, which is something that I think all of us would love to resonate with in these times, yes?
Yes.
We would.
Yes.
We absolutely would. So we want to try and find some peacefulness. We want to try and work on that. And this prayer is a prayer that really changes our minds. It really allows us to be inspired, and I'm going to go over it. But as I was preparing for this talk, I discovered something about the instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Your instrument is really what I like to call your body and your mind. It's really your life. Your life is really like an instrument. And we learn how to play an instrument by practicing. Luigi has become so much greater since he's been here with all of us. His music is magical. The Levins have magical music. We have some wonderful, wonderful musicians that come to play their instruments for us. But how do we play that instrument called our lives? How do we play that? You know, I thought about when I was a young child many years ago, maybe about 8 or 9 years old, I was told that I was going to play the violin. How many people in here ever had that happen to them? You were told that you were going to play an instrument. Yes, quite a few of you. So I wanted to play the piano, but I was told that I was going to play the violin. What did I know? So I started playing the violin, and I played the violin, and the instrument is a very, very funny kind of thing because you have to practice, you see? You have to practice with the instrument that you are given. So I was given a violin, but I didn't want the violin, I wanted the piano. So what happened to me was that I started to play the violin, and I practiced and I played, and I loved the violin, don't get me wrong, I just didn't want to be the one to play it, you see. So I started to practice this violin, and I played it for about 3 or 4 years. And did I master it? No, not in 3 or 4 years. It probably takes at least 10 or 15 years to become a good violinist. So I gave up, you see, I stopped playing. And the whole reason that I'm speaking to you today about this is because it's about your life as an instrument. It's about what you are choosing to do with your life on a daily basis. The instrument, you practice with your instrument. We practice every day with our instrument, with our minds and with our bodies. What are we practicing? And what are we giving to our consciousness that gives us peace of mind? Make me an instrument of your peace. That's what he says. So what kind of an instrument would you like to have? How would you fill in that blank? Maybe it's your health and well-being. Maybe it's your abundance. Wayne Dyer speaks about this in his book, and he says that the prayer of St. Francis is really a prayer of making something, creating something with yourself. Rather than focusing on what is not working, you are focusing on what is working for you. The example that I have given you about the violin can very well be for some of you what you may be doing every day, even though you don't want to do it. Sometimes we think we have to do something. And many of us do at some point, but we have to be willing to turn a corner and work with spirit so that we can play a different melody for ourselves, you see? The instrument that we are playing is really called our life. And so I want to share with you today this beautiful, part of this beautiful prayer from St. Francis, which is really, really beautiful. It says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. I left that blank because you can fill in the blank for your life. What would you like to be an instrument for? What kind of an instrument would you like to be? Would you like to be for well-being, for abundance? Make me an instrument of your well-being, of your health, of your wealth, whatever it is for you, your creativity. We work on that on a daily basis. And the prayer goes on to say, where there is hatred, let me sow love. Isn't that interesting? Especially today. We were talking about some things this morning that are going on politically, which I'm not speaking about, I don't speak to it. But what I am saying is that where there is hatred on either side, let me sow love. And so is S-O-W, it's not S-E-W. We don't sow the love, it's not a cloth. It's something that you reap what you sow. And I have been a part of that. I have actually been a part of that, where I have been involved, and it's hard to let go of that, isn't it? You get attached to some of that stuff, and you want to be there, and you want to say, why is this happening? And let me sow love, you see? Where there is hatred, let me sow love. And that is not an easy thing to do, but each and every one of us can work on that on a daily basis. Let me sow love. I love that so very much. As I was preparing this talk, I was listening to many people on YouTube. That's been my latest thing. How many of you are going on YouTube now and listening to some great people? Good. That's wonderful. There are so many people on YouTube that are inspirational. Denzel Washington. I listened to him and I thought, Denzel Washington, he's an actor. But he's an actor who has such a love and passion for life. And something he said I want to share with you. He said, when you go to sleep at night, make sure you put your slippers way underneath the bed. I thought, what is he talking about? Slippers? But the reason he said that was because then when you get up in the morning, you have to kneel down to get them. And you have to kneel down to say thank you for all of the things that God is going to bring you during this great day that you are going to participate in. That's what he does every day. He does that. And I listened to many other speakers, and they were talking about love instead of hatred. You see, hatred is easy. Isn't it easy to hate? It's so easy. So what are you going to sow? What will you do with your instrument? because your instrument is really your life, and your instrument is really your power. And we're talking about the power of your word in the workshop that Fanny and Barbara are going to do. Your word means everything. I am learning, and I still do it. I still go out there and I still say things. I have to pull myself back. But if you can begin to do that, if you can begin to recognize where you are going down the wrong road, and you can pull yourself back, and you can begin to use your instrument in a better way. Your instrument is your life. How do you want to use your instrument? Do you want to use it for good, or do you want to use it to go down that road where you're part of what my teacher used to call the race mind groupthink, Dr. Grayson? Do you want to be a part of that consciousness, or would you rather, as St. Francis said, sow love? So where there is hatred, let me sow love. That is a message for you this morning. And also, where there is injury, pardon. In other words, sometimes we hold on to our injuries. Anybody ever do that? Just me? The rest of you too? We hold on to our injuries, and when we hold on to them, they are injuring us more, not less. And we must be willing to let go. We must be willing to release. We must be willing to let go. And when someone else is injuring someone, sometimes we do have to take part in that. And we do have to say that that is not the good thing to do. We have to be part of the good thing to do to other people, not the hurt, not the harm. Judgment, all of that kind of stuff, we all do it. It's part of our human condition. But the quicker we can release this, the more that we can let this go, the better off that all of us will be. Where there is injury, let me pardon. Where there has been a negativity, where someone has done some form of harm to us, we must release it and neutralize it and dissolve it. That's what St. Francis' prayer is all about. We cannot stand by and allow people to be injured. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is if we feel injured, we must be willing to release it and let it go. We must be willing to not only pardon other people, but pardon ourselves, you see. We must be willing to pardon ourselves. That's what I'm talking to you about this morning. Pardoning yourself. And then the next part says, where there is doubt, faith. This is big, big, big in our teaching. Where there has been doubt, where you are creating with your instrument, where you are becoming a part of something good in your life and you want to create something, you let go of the doubt, you release, neutralize, and dissolve it. And you work on the area of faith in your life. What are you having faith in? Where are you placing your faith? You see, what I do is I pray about something and then I let it go, knowing that it's all going to work out for my highest good as well as the highest good of all other people involved. Do things go wrong sometimes? Yeah, they do. But I just accept it and let it be. I let it be what it is instead of trying to fight with it all the time. When you are fighting with something, you are weakening yourself and your system. If you are playing an instrument, make me an instrument of your peace. You don't fight with the instrument. You don't get up and say, how come you're not working? Why won't you do this? Because you're the one that is working with the instrument. And the more that you practice the good things that you are doing in your life, the more that you will have your faith and your power. And the more that you will be able to trust the Spirit within you, trusting the power within you. You have so much power, so much spiritual power. We all have it, but we have to plug into it. It's like plugging into a switch when you turn something on. You have to plug into it. And speaking of plugging in, I didn't say this before, but I want to share this with you now. This month's magazine is featuring Michael Bernard Beckwith. So if you want to get a copy of that, that is on the back table. Why am I saying this in the middle of the lesson? I don't know. Just thought I'd say something. See what I mean? So you see, when you just let things be okay and you don't get all ruffled about them, everything flows and it all works. It all works. It's all good. It's all good. So where there is doubt, let me have faith. Where I may have doubted that I could play the violin, I was right about that. I really didn't want to play the violin. So if you're playing an instrument and you don't want to play, if you're playing with your life and you don't like what you're doing with it, then you have to get a new idea, and that idea comes from faith. If you are not feeling well and you keep focusing on that all of the time, you'll get more of it. That comes from our teacher, Dr. Ernest Holmes. He was a magnificent man. And he said, what you focus on, you will get more of. Focus. Get into the habit every day of focusing on something good for yourself. Focusing on your new habits. What will those habits be for you? What are you willing to practice in a different way every day that will bring you more good into your life? Make me an instrument of. What is it that you would like to be an instrument of? You have control over that. We're all grown-ups in this room. Our parents are not going to hand us a violin and tell us we have to play it. And if they are, I'd love to talk to you after the service. We are not going to be handed an instrument and told that we have to play it. We are our own instruments today, and we must learn how to play our instruments and play them well. Play your instrument with joy and with love. Bring life into your experience every single day. Every day. This is what Louise Hay did in her life. She changed her life. She wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. Make me an instrument. If you begin to treat your body and your mind as if it were an instrument, and you begin to practice every day, getting new habits, exercising, taking better care of yourself, thinking better thoughts, reading all kinds of good literature, taking classes, doing things that nurture the soul. Get into a habit of doing that and really begin to focus on these good habits. And think about what Denzel Washington said. Putting the slippers way under the bed so that you have to get on your knees to get them in the morning. And if you don't wear slippers, throw your socks under the bed. Whatever it is you have to do to help yourself to grow into a better individual. Becoming an instrument of, whether it be peace or wealth or health, whatever it is, bringing joy into your life. It is so important. So where there is doubt, we would like to have faith. And where there is darkness, let there be light. The light within you. All of us have a light within us. That's a given. When you meditate in the morning, which I do every single morning, I'm very proud of myself. Next month it will be, I think, 2 years that I'm meditating sitting up instead of lying down, which is good. That's good for me. And it will be good for you as well. Maybe you want to start a meditation practice, but you have a little bit of feeling about that. Maybe you're kind of like hemming and hawing about it. I did that for a long time. Meditation clears your mind. It gets rid of the fog in your brain. It helps you to live a better life. Where there is darkness, let there be light. The light that shines from you, you bless other people. When you get in touch with that light that is within you, you are becoming more and more blessed each and every day. Begin to work with spirit. What do I say every day? I ask for and receive divine guidance. Let's say it together. I ask for and receive divine guidance. That is living in the light. Shakti Gawain did a book about that many years ago. I heard her speak at Madison Square Garden, where she talks about living in the light. And the light doesn't come from constantly focusing on what's wrong. It comes from having that light shine within you, having it brighten you up and bless you and uplift you and inspire and encourage you. We have to go out into the world with that light within us, knowing that it's there, knowing that it's always there for us, operating through each and every person in this room. We know that and we accept it. So where there is darkness, we feel like we're going maybe into a tunnel sometimes. We get sadness, we get upset. We get all of these things as part of being human. But when we pray, and when we say with sincerity, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace, your faith, your joy, whatever it may be for you. Whatever it may be for you, let it be for you. I spoke about that last week. Let everything work for you in your life. Allow the Spirit of life to inspire and bless you each and every day, and you will get more inspiration, not less. How many people in here would like to get more inspiration? Yes, we all need more inspiration, because inspiration is really about living in spirit, living from the Spirit, with the Spirit. The Spirit always gives to us. So when we are in fear and doubt, we get more of that. Even in the conditions of the world, and we're all entangled in it. We have to just kind of come back to ourselves, give ourselves that care and that self-love and that peace of mind. I know that I really love it when I feel at peace. Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Everyone feels that way, when there is a peacefulness, when you let go. The mind can race around sometimes a lot, but when you are willing to sit quietly and just be with Spirit every morning and every day, that changes and shifts your mind. It allows you to change your mind. It allows you to go from doubt to faith. It allows you to go from fear to love, you see. By being afraid of something, you can still be afraid and still do it. You just go there with a different mentality. You change your mentality and you're changing your life. Mentality is part of your instrument. It is part of what creates conditions in your life. And so when we go to Spirit, when we are with Spirit, we are at one with the Spirit of life, always creating the better, always renewing ourselves and blessing ourselves. This is what St. Francis is talking about when he says, make me an instrument of. And the last thing he says is, where there is sadness, let me express joy. Sadness. A lot of people today have that feeling about being sad about life. Sometimes we feel like we have no control over what's going on around us. How many people have that feeling? Like, okay, everyone. Because we only have control over ourselves. And we can pray for peace, we can pray for other people. But when it comes down to the bottom line, remember that you have a body and a mind, and it is your instrument. And you are playing it every day. How will you play your instrument? What will you do with this instrument? How will you live your life? Ernest Holmes wrote a book called This Thing Called Life. And he was talking about this very thing. This thing called your life. Work with it. Do the best you can. You know, some of us, when we go into a project or we want to write a book, we start thinking right away about the New York Times bestseller list. Yes? Yes, you're all laughing because you know it's true. But it's not about the New York Times bestseller list. Maybe it won't go there. Maybe it will reach 100,000 people, but it will bless them and uplift them and inspire them. And maybe the next one after that will reach that. So it's not about the New York Times bestseller list, although that's a beautiful place to be, yes. However, you can write a book that will help thousands and thousands of people. How about that? Yeah. You can write a book, you can get an idea, you can still do things. Just doing them, practicing every day, taking time for yourself. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace and your blessings. I took a course several years ago with Julia Cameron, the wonderful writer. What was the name of the book she wrote? Everyone knows it. The Artist's Way, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful book. She's an amazing lady. She's in our teaching. The Artist's Way. And she talked about taking some time every day to do a little bit of writing. Taking some time every day to just write. Don't worry about what you're saying, you see? That's a part of this trust, this power that you have that will guide you. If you want to do something, just begin. You see? That's the way. The way of the artist is to just begin. Each person in this room, including myself, is an artist. You are a spiritual artist. You are a guest of God. You are on this earth to contribute something beautiful to everyone. We may not be on the New York Times bestseller list, but we are our own bestsellers. We do things for ourselves and with ourselves as spiritual beings. We are co-creating all of the time with Spirit. You have this capacity within you to create, and it's God-given. And no one and nothing can take it away from you. Who takes it away from you, by the way? You do. I do. We take it away from ourselves. But if every day we start anew and we begin to write, maybe you like to write, maybe you want to get a new job, you want some kind of employment, you take 3 or 4 or 5 acts of faith every day toward that goal, whatever it is that you would like to create. But you have to remember, you are an instrument of the divine. You are an instrument of the divine, each and every one of you in this room. And if you don't believe that, then maybe you need to work on yourself every day until you do believe it. You are an instrument of and for the divine. And what you do with your life is a wonderful thing. If you encourage yourself, bless yourself, and approve of yourself, even when you make a mistake or you fall down, just pick yourself up, get up, and get back into the race again. They did a song about that a long time ago, right? Yes. So I want all of you to live your best lives. I want each and every one of you to be inspired, to say, Lord, make me an instrument of. What is it for you? Maybe you're acting in theater. Maybe you're in the legal profession. Make me an instrument of the best person that I can be by practicing, by knowing who you are. And as Reverend Michael says, not only knowing who you are, but whose you are. You are part of the infinite. You are part of the divine. This is what we teach here. You have a divinity within you. It is your nature. Your nature is divinity. You are part of God. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. That is the truth about our experience here on the planet. Lord, make me an instrument of. I love that. And I want to close with a spiritual mind treatment for everyone, but I'm going to quote something from this wonderful book that I have worked with to do the series of lessons for inspiration. This is what Wayne Dyer says when he talks about inspiration. He says, when we return to spirit in our heart, our governments will align with this truth, and our leaders will emerge from an in-spirit consciousness. Yes? We need to pray for the elimination of a perceived shortage and approach God in the style of St. Francis, with words that go something like this. Make me an instrument of thy endless abundance. Rather than asking God to fulfill something that's missing, this way we summon the energy back to us, rather than staying focused on what we do not have. And he is talking about, I'll say it again, the spirit consciousness. Imagine if our leaders were aligned with spirit. You know, I wasn't going to talk about this, but just a few more minutes. I'm going to tell you about a little conversation we had this morning. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a cabinet in our government that began to have meditation and prayer as their only source? That's all they're there to do. They're not there to judge. They're not there to be a Democrat or a Republican. They're there to pray for the world, and they're there to meditate, to bring peace to the world and calmness. Wouldn't that be nice? So that is something that we could pray for. That is something that we could pray for, yes. The mind of God in action. So I'm going to do a prayer for each and every one of you as an instrument of peace, joy, and blessing. So let's turn within and let's know this truth together. There is one life, one power, and one presence in the universe called God, the Divine Spirit. And it operates in, around, through, and upon the conscious mind of each and every one in this room, including the speaker. Each one, then, is an instrument of the divine. Each person is at one with the one. And from this oneness, all things are made new. Each person receives a blessing, has greater health, wealth, self-expression, and loving, harmonious relationships. And from the treatment done this morning, and from the reading done this morning, and from the music, and from the lesson, everyone in this room becomes an instrument of the divine and begins to practice the presence on a daily basis to create a more blessed, more wonderful, more uplifted life than ever before. This word is the truth for each and every one of us. Any inner resistance, any thought patterns that would negate it are released, neutralized, and dissolved. And each person, through this at one minute, is transformed in consciousness and renewed in mind. This is the truth, and it is now released with love and gratitude into law. So be it, and together we say, and so it is. And that is the way it is. Thank you. And now we're going to have our offering affirmation. So let's take our programs in hand. We have our offering. And on the inside of our program, we will say together our offering affirmation. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, support, and bless. It is evidence of my absolute conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyfully release my gift, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Recognizing God as our source, we know that as we give, we are receiving, and our giving comes back multiplied abundantly, and so it is. And now let us say the treatment prayer for the month of April. My mind is a center of divine operation, and this is my day to display that divine operation in all areas of my life. I am inspired to live my life as a vessel of the divine. I am one with the presence, filled with peace, love, and appreciation for this divine operation. As I choose to live in spirit this day, my life becomes my blessing. And so it is. And that is the way it is. And now we're going to have some more wonderful music. Speaking of instruments, we have Ira and Julia.
So as we're moving forward with this and recognizing how swiftly a bad feeling can come in instantly, just remember what they say in jazz, you're always half a step away from a good note.
So this is our morning mantra with each other. We'll just keep it very simple, and it's actually a really quick four-word, two-word, brighter day. It's a brighter day to sum up what we just did in our prayer there. So lots of singing.
It's a brighter day, brighter right away. Here we go. It's a brighter